Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
You are now on the inside of what I like to call the circle of trust.
We are all connected in the great circle of life.
You know something, Bert? What? I think you and I are going in circles.
It feels like we're going in circles.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Because it's a circle.
Yeah, we heard about the circle.
Yes, we're familiar with shapes.
Hello, this is Greg.
This is Chuck.
And this is Dan, and we are Talking in Circles, brought to you by the GeekCast Radio Network, a podcast where we love conning all the time. We'll be getting in that a little bit later as we'll be talking about Baltimore Comic Con. We mentioned it last week with Chuck's letter to Baltimore Comic Con, and now we've officially gone. We've been there 2 days, and we have stories. So many stories.
We also have sore feet.
We are very old and achy, so if we fall asleep during this recording, we apologize. We've done a lot of walking. Today was the hottest day of the summer all year, so all I can say is I feel bad for all the sweaty cosplayers. So.
We essentially became the Walking Dead.
and my neck hurts from turning around so much. Neck snapping action as there were many fearless cosplayers.
Men and women, we should mention.
I was mostly looking at the women. Mostly.
I saw you checking out Tarzan.
Not Tarzan, no.
No Tarzan, me, Jane. But before we get to that, how's the week been going for you guys?
I didn't know if you knew this, Dan, but a group of goats is called a trip. It's a little fun fact. It's a Snapple fact.
Snapple fact. Yeah, we are drinking Snapple because it's the best stuff on earth, because we are rebels, and that's what we do.
And we haven't drank most of the day also, so we're getting hydrated now.
Because there's nowhere to find ice-cold water at the convention center.
Ice, cold, get your ice-cold water. Only $1.
If you were at Baltimore Comic Con, you would know what that means. And let's just say, the street vendors are very pushy. And
ice.
In Baltimore, it's not usually just for water, but in this case it was, so there we go.
Cold.
The sad thing is, Greg sounds just like the guy who was selling it.
I'm not as nearly as buff as that man is.
No, he was a big dude. But Chuck, how's your week been going?
Pretty good. Didn't really do much. This was kind of getting stuff ready for the con. You know, you got to prepare the comic list and make sure that's ready and updated. So
you also have to figure out which books you want to get signed and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I had to organize all that and figure out who I wanted to sign what and all that fun stuff.
Did you get any body parts signed, Chuck?
Yes, and I won't reveal which ones.
Open your mouth a little bit, Chuck. Just open your... You got your tongue signed, didn't you?
I did.
Who signs the tongue?
And my left butt cheek.
Okay, we'll bring out the left butt cheek then.
Yeah, Jim Starlin wasn't happy about that one. He did it anyway.
But you're a little Thanos, like along with it.
Well, you said, I'll kiss your butt if you sign mine, right?
The sad part is that probably it has happened with some of the people that were there. But yeah, or you could do other preparation, or just pull out your comic boxes and have Greg go through them, telling you which people are going to be there.
Ladies, pull out your comic boxes. Yeah. I will want to rummage through them.
Yeah. I'm glad I set that up for you and you took it away. But, so this week we'll be focusing on Baltimore Comic Con. But before we get to that, we're going to just kind of go over our normal what we've been watching. And it's been a busy week for all of us, so we haven't got into a great deal. But Chuck, I know that you have got into a little bit of a marathon.
Yeah, they had, as AMC tends to do, they put some marathons on the weekend, and I caught the Rambo marathon.
Still haven't seen them.
See, and that would have been the perfect time for you to see them. I was going to call you, but I figured you were going to be like,
I was also getting ready for the Baltimore Comic Con, and I was reorganizing my comic collection at that time. So it might have been a good time, because I liked a little something in the background.
You like some little something in the back. We get it.
That's right. It would hurt if it was something big.
I realized that I like Rambo 2 more than I thought I did. So that's a pretty good movie.
That's a big revelation to come to.
It's like, I always thought the first one was the greatest, but the second one's pretty darn good too. Especially when he's faking it that he's asleep and then he jumps up and shoots the guy in the helicopter with the rocket launcher.
That almost sounded like me until the last part.
You don't have a rocket launcher?
No, I have no rocket launcher, no. I do fake like I'm asleep so I can sleep in longer.
The big thing I remember from Rambo 2 is Rambo clutching the microphone with all of his muscle and yelling, "I'm coming for you too."
Yeah.
And Greg took that a different direction.
Why is this microphone so sticky, guys?
He did grab that with all of his strength.
Yeah, he really did. He really showed that microphone. What was up?
Yeah.
It's a veiny bastard.
He even had muscles in his hands. But one thing that I didn't realize, and I feel kind of like an idiot that I never realized this, but the infamous red headband that Rambo puts on.
Yeah.
That's part of the dress from the Vietnamese girl. That was
yeah.
Like I always wondered, like where did he get the red bandana? And it was right after she got killed. Oh, spoiler alert! No,
you ruined the plot to Rambo.
To a 30-year-old movie. But no, right after she got killed, that's when he he awkwardly puts on the bandana where he flexes all of his back muscles unnecessarily.
He really ties it tight.
Yeah, but that's where he got. I never realized that.
Yeah, the 80s action movies are full of a lot of flexing, no matter what thing you were doing. Like, if you look at Predator, there's like the infamous high five between the guy, what's his name, who played Apollo Creed?
Carl
Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they do like a high five, but it's like...
And there's a chick between them?
Probably knowing Arnold Schwarzenegger. They do like a high five and their arms are just like gigantic and they're like arm wrestling. I'm like, can't even do a high five. Or like in Top Gun, they're like checking their watches and like every little thing they do in the volleyball scene, they're just flexing all the time. Like, 80s are big on muscles. So. And
also camouflaging yourselves with mud and jumping out at your opponent.
Yeah.
Because that was in Rambo 2 and in Predator.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big time for mud and muscles.
It's always a good time for mud and muscles.
That's true. We gotta get back to that.
By the way, we found the title for this one, Mud and Muscles.
Mud and Muscles. Muddy Muscles.
I thought it was the Con Men.
Nope, we're changing to Muddy Muscles.
The Muddy Muscle Con Men. That could be another Schwarzenegger movie. He needs all the help he can get. So, but you watched anything else, or is that pretty much it?
I did catch Shawshank on TV.
Nice, which apparently, which based upon IMDb ratings, that's the best movie of all time. So
it is up there. I gotta say, it's a pretty sweet movie. But I hadn't seen it up until like a year ago. Surprisingly, I'd never seen it, and now I've probably seen it 3 times because it's always on TV. But
I haven't seen it.
Really?
No.
It's a really great movie. I mean, not a lot of movies live up to the hype that they receive, but that one really is a great movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time. It's a feel-good, but also really depressing movie at the same time.
Yeah.
It's also where Morgan Freeman became huge. And
he lifted in that movie?
He did. He also, like, it's weird, he also got big muscles and was also in the mud, hanging out in stealth fighting. It was such a weird time. Yeah, I would love to see a movie with a buffed out Morgan Freeman. That'd be amazing.
Even his freckles have muscles.
He could probably lift weights just with his voice, though. It's like, but interesting. Yeah, I've not sat through Shawshank, but I've caught it in bits. Like you said, it's always on TV. But
surprising that Tim Robbins can take the lead role and make that movie so good. I never really saw him in a lot of lead roles and stuff. Like, he's usually supporting, right?
Yeah, he used to be more in lead roles back in the day, like in Jacob's Ladder and stuff like that. And also Bull Durham. Well, I guess he was supporting in that too. But he had his time. Now he's more of a side character, side actor. He doesn't actually even act that much anymore. He kind of just shows up here and there.
Well, him and Morgan Freeman co-starred in another recent movie, though, and not recent, but within the last decade in War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah.
Even though Morgan Freeman was the weird narrator at the end, but
of course he narrated. He's the voice you hear when you read books out loud.
Yes.
Very cool. And speaking of TV, because that's always on TV, I also did catch a new TV show, which I've heard a lot of hype about, which is on Comedy Central, and it's called Nathan For You. And for those that don't know...
What's it called again?
Nathan For You.
Okay, Nathan, like Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, like Nathan Fillion. The premise of the show, it's like, those shows where a business isn't doing well, or a restaurant's not doing well, so someone goes in and tries to fix it. Well, it's kind of like that, but like the guy Nathan, it's more comedic, and his ideas are a little bit more out there. So, for example, one of the episodes that I saw, there was this gift shop in Los Angeles that was not doing very well. It was not really selling much. So what they ended up doing is like faking that they were making a movie. So they got to try to get people to go and be part of it. And not only that, they had people come in and act like they were going to be a part of it. And their role in the movie was to buy something at the store. But the thing is, they were honestly buying something. They were using their own money, having the transaction go through. And then just as part of the movie, and it was actually, and this is all I will say real with quotations, because I think some of it's real, some of it's kind of played out. But it's rather funny because it ends up going down this huge rabbit hole where he gets in trouble for fraud because people aren't thinking they were selling it for free or were buying the stuff for free or really weren't buying it. So
this man was a con man.
He was a con man. And they end up getting a Johnny Depp impersonator, but when people were getting upset, so they would hang out with this Johnny Depp impersonator, thinking he's Johnny Depp, so they wouldn't sue them, and it ends up trying to actually make the movie, and then it goes down this huge rabbit hole. It's actually a really good episode, and I'm not doing it justice whatsoever. It's just really funny, and the ideas he comes up with are really hilarious. There's a car wash that wasn't doing well, so
working at the car wash, babe.
That's what they did. They all came up with songs, and now what they ended up doing is they noticed that so they weren't getting much traction, but there was this huge tree near the car wash. So what they were doing is he got a bunch of birds, tons of different birds, he started with pigeons. That didn't work. He got a parrot, what's those things with the huge feathers?
Parakeet, parrot?
No, the ones with I can't think of them. They have the big feathers that
peacock?
A peacock. Yeah, you got a peacock. And
should have known it with cock in there.
Yeah, you should have. Yeah. But a bunch of these birds, and trying to get people so they would go to the bathroom, and they would have a sale at the car wash for people with bird poop on their car, so they'd get a special. And it was kind of working at first, but it wasn't working. So, and he also started doing things where you would try to ask the people for directions when they were under the tree, to try to make them stay there for longer and stuff. It sounds really mean. It is kind of mean, but it's also kind of funny the way he does it, because it's kind of taking those shows that you see all the time and just being more comedic with it.
If this dude tried to make a bird poop on my car, I would be ultra pissed. Ultra pissed.
Do you get the idea that it could be staged at all, or does it seem legitimately genuine?
It's a mixture of both, for sure. I think there are times where it's genuine, and there's times where I feel like it's staged in somewhat. So there are certain situations where it's pretty obvious that Nathan, the guy who's doing it, is actually kind of worried about what he's doing, because there's one time he was delivering pizzas, and he actually went to some dude's house, and it was rather scary. You can see him, he was a little bit freaked out, because it was this whole deal where they were told they were getting a free pizza if they wasn't arriving within 10 minutes. But the free pizza they got was really tiny, really super tiny.
Give them English muffin pizza.
So, and then they would have to buy the actual real pizza. So it didn't. Yeah, and they went up to this one guy's house who was huge. You couldn't see his face; it was blurred out. But it was a scary dude. So I do think there are times where it's certainly staged, like all reality TV shows. But I don't know if you heard of that thing called Dumb Starbucks that was huge in the web not too long ago.
No.
But basically it happened. I haven't saw that episode, but that was a huge thing that happened, and that's because of this show. So I really don't think I'm doing the show justice, and I think it's really hilarious. My wife didn't find it nearly as funny as I did, But I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was really funny. And Nathan, and it's kind of cool because like the ideas are crazy, but they end up kind of working, and how they all transpire and stuff like that. So I would check it out. It's on demand. It's on season 2. Just started a few weeks ago. So it's on Comedy Central. Again, it's called Nathan for You. So, but we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty as we get into all the happenings at Baltimore Comic Con. So we will see you in a bit.
Balls deep.
I'm Colin Baker.
My name's Fraser Hines.
Hi, I'm Daphne Ashbrook.
This is Andrew Cartmel.
Hi, this is Colin Spall.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisher-Becker.
This is Ian McNeice.
Hi, this is Travis Ritchie.
You listen to this Mark Who 42's.
Listen to Mark Who 42's Universe.
If you're into Doctor Who, listen to Mark Who 42's Universe. We always have the latest Doctor Who news, reviews, and interviews. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, GeekCast Radio Network, and our home base, MarkWho42.net.
Mark Who 42, the meaning of life.
Returning for its second year is Grand Con Gaming and Comics Convention on September 19th through the 21st at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This year, be prepared for more. With a guest list that easily doubles that of last year's, with artists such as Mark McKenna or game publishers like Jeff Grubb, it's easy to want to come check them out. There will be a silent charity auction, tons of panels for gaming and comics fans, and the list goes on and on. Registration is open. For more information, visit the website grand-con.com.
Alright, and welcome back. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, today we're talking about Baltimore Comic Con. And unlike San Diego Comic Con, we all went to this one, but unlike San Diego Comic Con, there's no news really to talk about. Nothing really dropped at Baltimore Comic Con, because that would be kind of funny if that happened. So we're just going to have a conversation about what we did there, what we learned, because we did get to talk to, at least a lot of famous people within the comic book world, and also picked up some sweet, sweet comics that Chuck and Greg will be talking about. But so I guess we can start so far. We still have one day till tomorrow, but Sunday's kind of your low down day. You're kind of just wrapping it up. But so far, what would you say your overall experience at Baltimore Comic Con has been? Greg, how have you enjoyed your stay at the con this year?
I always think the Baltimore Comic Con is a really good one to go to, especially if you're starting out in Comic Cons. It has a nice mix of kind of the lower end cons, which just usually more focuses on the comics, and it's got a nice blend of what happens in higher end comic shows where you have a lot of the creators of the different comics. So you've got a really nice mix there. So I think it's got something for everybody.
And Chuck, what about you?
I thought it was great. I always have a blast at this con. I mean, honestly, the most fun for me is just walking the floor and like looking at stuff.
Cosplayers.
Comic Cons are the best place in the world to do people watching.
Yeah. You definitely, like Dan mentioned before, that you definitely realize where we get that stereotype from. But honestly, I love just diving right into the long boxes and looking for some issues that I need.
I got a visual off that, Chuck.
I tend to have a lot of issues with the long box, but
well, they're hard to fill. I mean, you prefer the smaller boxes because they're easier to transport. You can it doesn't take as much stuff to fill them.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's kind of crazy. Anyways, I'll get off that joke.
But yeah, just looking for stuff to fill on my list. Like I have some runs of different comics that I'm looking to fill some holes and stuff like that. And Greg's laughing again. And
does not take much.
I like looking at all the toys, Marvel Legends, and Greg likes the pop vinyl stuff. And I mean, they're a little bit high. I never really understood that why like so many comics are discounted, but the toys are like more expensive.
Yeah, did anything catch your eye? Like I mean, not even just toys, but like any collectibles that you saw that like you would love to buy, but maybe it was obviously way too much, and you probably wouldn't have purchased it. Or
Yeah, definitely some statues. I think we were all kind of drooling over.
Oh, God.
They had this huge Apocalypse statue that was probably 2 feet tall. And I don't know, I think it was around $650 or something.
I think it was around there too.
Something like that.
Plus, the day before that, the spot that Apocalypse was in, they had a Planet Hulk one that was just as big, and it was around the same price, maybe a tad bit more, but that was freaking gorgeous.
See, I didn't see that one. I wish I did.
But... Yeah, he had his full armor on with a shield. It was badass.
Yeah, huge-ass sword.
What else did they had,
and he was holding it, too.
They had a big Cable statue that was pretty sweet, and there's a lot of detail in that because, like, Cable has like 1 billion pouches and rounds of ammo and everything on him. So
thanks, Rob Liefeld.
That was a statue with a lot of detail on it, but it looked great. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and what was that? Like, they had a miniature Jaws set or something, like a replica Jaws set of the climax in Jaws, which looks pretty cool.
Yeah, there was like a diorama of the main scene in Jaws where the shark jumps up on the back of the boat. And, I mean, it was a little over 1 foot long, and I don't even know how much it cost, actually, but it was like this really detailed diorama. I don't think it was cheap, but it was very, very nice collectible. And then the same stand had the old, remember the white Brachiosaurus thing from the Power Rangers?
Oh, yes, like the ultimate
Titanus.
one. Oh, Titanus,
the Transporter Zord or what? Yeah, it's just...
That's like when they would super use that one, like when someone was really, really tough.
The Ultra Thunder Megazord or whatever. With like 9 titles.
The names that people could get away with in the 90s.
But the box of this thing was huge, and they wanted like $275 for that thing. It's sweet and all, but it's not worth that much.
You get a real dinosaur for that much. I saw. Yeah, it's funny though. It's like there are some old toys that are really cheap and some that go for really expensive. It is like a huge nostalgic trip in a lot of ways with everything they're selling and whatnot. This other thing I saw that was really cool, which I would like so buy if it wasn't so expensive, is they had the Terminator head.
Oh yeah.
The robot actually of the android. I guess not Android. I guess it would just be a robot, but the one that you would see like in Terminator 2 or what have you, the full skull, which looked really cool. A lot of great detail. I think it was a movie replica too, and I would so buy that because it just looks kind of awesome. But again, super expensive.
And there's always that concern that they didn't take the chip out of it and it's still operational. So.
And Linda Hamilton would come and try to kill you in order to stop it from happening. So,
but then you just lead it through this, I don't even know what it's called.
Well, we're leaving that in.
Well, then, but if Skynet takes over, you could be like, "Hey, I was on your side the entire time. This is like, see, I
bought you.
I was rooting for you from the beginning." But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. And think Baltimore Comic Con has. Because I was actually having a conversation with a dude that at Five Guys Burgers and Fries, because he saw I had a Baltimore Comic Con patch on.
Fucking delicious.
Yeah, Five Guys, such a good time.
Oh, big tip, if they have the Coke machine where you could do multiple different drinks, where you can mix them all, I highly recommend Orange Fanta and Vanilla Coke. It was delicious.
Yeah, it tastes like a freaking orange sickle, and it made me thinking, why Sunkist doesn't have a flavor with like vanilla filling, and they could sell it as creamsicle and make $1 billion. Like, I've given up soda. I took a sip of it, and it took a lot in me not to drink more. So I was like, it was delicious, and I'm a big fan of creamsicle. So it was like, why couldn't I have discovered this earlier?
You're welcome, Dan.
You're welcome, America, because that's a thing that all people should have. But anyways, I was talking to a guy at Five Guys about Baltimore Comic Con. And the big thing, I think a lot of people first ask is what celebrities are there. And it's funny because I think the celebrities I was talking about, I'm like, well, comic book people like Jim Starlin and George Perez, and like no idea who that was. I'm like, Peter Mayhew? He's like, I'm like, the guy who played Chewbacca? He's like, oh, okay. Because there's no like B-list celebrities at Baltimore Comic Con. Though I did see Jerry.
I totally avoided Peter Mayhew today, by the way.
Yeah, Wookiees never forget. Though I did see Jerry Lawler there today.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah.
What? When did you see him?
He was working...
Were you trying to find a bar and they sent you down a street with all the gay bars?
I actually walked right by him, and he looked at me because I think he was looking for someone, and he thought I was the person he was looking for a second, but then he looked away. And then I kept walking. I'm like, was that Jerry the King Lawler? Like, that was random.
Yeah. That is kind of fun. Yeah, I didn't expect... I was walking, and he was at some booth. I'm like, wait, what? Because usually wrestlers like travel in packs, and there's always a bunch of them, but... Which is like the saddest thing in the world when you see like that wrestling alley. It's just like, it's just so depressing. Looking at Honky Tonk Man, like a 60-year-old dude still dressing up as Elvis, it's just so sad. But
he's the only one that I saw there, though.
Yeah, he was there. I think he does writing and stuff too, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe that's what he was there for. But yeah, so there's no B-list celebrities. It's just comic book people, artists and writers, which is, I think, good because I think that's what it should be. So, but yeah, so we got to meet a lot of cool people. I talked to a lot of different people all over the place from all different spectrums. I know
Dan's on the spectrum, guys.
I am. I probably am. That's why my wife likes me so much. But Greg, who did you? I know you went up to a few people, got autographs and whatnot, and like, who did you get to speak with?
The first person that I saw was Frank Cho, which I was trying desperately to get. He had some sketch covers that he did and was bringing to the show. He wasn't going to do any sketching at the show, but he only brought 2 sketch covers. And I was number 3 in line.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and the guy in front of me is like, I don't know if I should get it, and da-da-da-da-da, and like, in my head I'm going, don't get it. Like, if you're thinking about it, just don't get it, because I really want it.
Yeah.
And like, the first guy took, who was it? It was, the Black Widow, and the other one was Jean Grey, and being a big X-Men fan, I wanted the Jean Grey, and so the first dude took, Black Widow, so I was like, yes, and then the second guy's like, I don't know if I should get it. I'm like, don't get it then! I really want it, you're him and Han. But I missed out, because the guy did get it, and then I got a couple books signed by him. Then I walked over to Riley Brown, who does a lot of stuff for Deadpool, and I set up a commission with him for Shikla. If you don't know, that's Deadpool's new wife. She is the queen of the monsters.
Everyone's settling down nowadays, even Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool is, but I'm not. It's really sad. But if Shikla was real, yeah, she would be freaking gorgeous, except when she's in monster form, then she's scary as hell.
So are women.
And now we're going to get shit from all women. I hope your wife isn't listening to this, Dan.
She's just in the other room. Obviously, I'm joking. Please, God.
But I also got a whole bunch of books signed by Koi Pham, who is always quite pleasant at the shows.
I met him too. I got him a few Mighty Avengers signed, and he was actually talking to me that his line in Mighty Avengers, which he did a few issues for, he said that's one of the favorite lines he did, and one of the covers that he did was he did his like span cover, which was like 4 or 5 issues that all kind of fit together. But his favorite issue, part of it, was Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And when he was signing it, he's like, I should really get a big print of this. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And it got eventually got a little awkward because he was trying to sell me those big white pages, like the original sketches that they used to then make the comic.
The interiors?
Yeah. See, that's how much I know. And I was like looking through them. He was really nice about it. Like the guy, he had like his accountant there, I guess, or something, trying to sell them. And I was looking through them. I'm like, I'm not going to buy them, but I don't want to not look through them and be the guy, like, you know, because
be rude.
Yeah, be rude. And I was like, oh, like, how much is this one? And the guy was like looking at his phone. He's like, oh, it's $6, but I don't think that's too much. So it's $2. And at first I'm like, $2 doesn't seem too bad. I'm like, oh no, $200. And so he was going to give me a $400 discount, which is a lot, but I also wasn't going to spend $200 on a interior, which was great. It was a great Ultron image. It was a good splash page. It was gorgeous art, but I was like, would not do anything with this at all. So I pulled the I gotta check with the wife card, which he's like, all right, I understand that, because we were talking where he's like, Corey Fam's like, I really like these, but my wife doesn't, so that's why I'm selling them. So, but yeah, there's a lot of cool people, and it's nice because he didn't have much of a line, so you could have a legitimate conversation with him.
Yeah, and then I went over to Lee Weeks, who I always recommend people go up to. If you catch him on, he wasn't too talkative this time, but usually if you catch him and he's not doing much, he'll do magic, and he usually remembers people. I don't think he remembered me this time, but it's still always a good time to go see Lee Weeks. He's my favorite artist to draw Hulk. I think he does a really great job with Hulk, and I think he's the standard for all people drawing the Hulk.
What issues did he do with Hulk?
The Tempest Fugit.
Those are great.
Right?
Those are some of the best Hulk covers.
Yeah, he was basing some of them off of Frank Frazetta covers.
Yeah, I could see that.
Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say there's a little bit of a Frankenstein aspect to it too. I think mostly with like the hair he does for Hulk. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. Those are the best Hulk drawings.
Who else did I see? Signage stuff. I tried to get Jim Starlin signatures, but it was very tough. He kept having lines for Infinity Gauntlet stuff, and George Perez was kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny because I bet you like 5 years ago, their lines may not have been nearly as big as they are now, but it's, all the Infinity stuff's all the rage. Everyone's really just catching up with Chuck, who's been into that a long time ago.
I liked it before it was cool, okay?
Yeah, you were into it. You were, way much into it, and now now everyone's going back to it, which is kind of funny.
The only reason I have the Infinity Gauntlet, I believe, is because of Chuck.
Me too. So, so it goes. But interesting.
I believe that was just about everybody that I went to see. I did get a very nice Riley Brown Shikla piece.
Yeah,
it was full figure.
Yeah, she does have a full figure.
She does. Maybe when I get the chance, I'll scan it and I'll send the image to Dan to put on the site. It may not be on this podcast, or maybe down the road.
Or throw it on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Or Twitter.
Yeah.
Tweeting
on those tweets. But Chuck, how about yourself? So, who'd you meet with, talk with? Any funny stories regarding people at the con?
Well, I did get I was the second guy in line to see Frank Cho, and I got the sketch right in front of this guy that was complaining behind me.
Fuck you.
No, it's not true. It actually wasn't me. I'm just clowning around. It would be really freaking funny if it was me, though, and Greg was pissed off.
Then you end up selling it to somebody else. You're like, I ended up not wanting it, so I sold it for half price to somebody.
But then if I got it as a gift for Greg, then he would feel like an ass.
I'd pee my pants a little.
But no, I think the first person I saw was writer Ron Mars. He's done a lot of stuff. My favorite stuff that he did was a big Silver Surfer run back in the 90s. I think his run was from like issue 51 to like over 100. So he wrote like almost 60 issues or something of Silver Surfer. And I think I had like 5 comics for him to sign. He wrote a What If issue, which, of course, knowing me, it's a Infinity Gauntlet related one. It was What If the Silver Surfer Possessed the Infinity Gauntlet. It's a really cool book. And I had him sign that one. He was really nice. I donated to the Hero Initiative thing that a lot of the artists and writers and stuff are asking donations for it at the Baltimore Comic Con.
Yeah, it's funny because at first I thought that was something for like military people, because Hero Initiative, but yeah. What is that about again? Like, what's the purpose of the Hero Initiative?
Well, I talked to Ron Mars about it. He said it's mostly for taking like donations to help the old time creators, artists and writers who really didn't get the big paychecks back in the day when they were drawing stuff and writing stuff. So it goes from anything to helping them pay their rent or electric bills because they can be very elderly right now and have a lot of trouble with their bills. So it's a great organization that kind of helps with that.
I think they're trying to make it so it doesn't happen like the creators of Superman, Joe Shuster, or
Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Yeah.
Thank you. Not a Superman fan. But I think they're trying to keep. They don't want the same thing happening again. So I think they're trying to. The artists themselves are trying to set up something so it doesn't ever happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
And so then after that, I was able to meet up with Brandon Peterson, who's done a lot of different things. I had him sign some the Executioner song issues from back in the 90s of the Uncanny X-Men. He did the art in those 3 issues from Uncanny X-Men. And the copies I have, I know there's like a billion copies of those because it came out in the 90s, but the ones I have, they're still in the original wrapping and unopened and everything, so I figured it'd be cool to have him autograph those 3.
Did he make any comments about it being in the wrapping? Like, was he like, oh, you should probably take it out of the wrapping so I could sign? Or
no, he didn't say anything. He said he was kind of impressed. He was like, oh, wow, they're still in the original wrapping. Like, you didn't open them. And I was like, yeah. And I kind of have, like, I have a hardcover of that story, so, like, I could read it in that, but I have no need to open it. But, yeah, he signed it right on the plastic wrapping and everything. And I had a pretty decent conversation with him because I was asking him, like, if it's difficult as an artist to work on a crossover story, because if you remember that story, it crossed over into, I think, X Factor and regular X-Men line,
X-Force, like all
yeah.
the X-Men, all the X comics at that time.
Yeah, so, and he...
Porn comics?
Yes. All the porn comics through Marvel.
All the X-rated, yeah. But he was super nice. He, actually, someone came over to say hello, and he wouldn't let me leave till he finished telling me the story, so he was a super nice guy. And he was telling me how, like, the artists don't really meet and collaborate so much. He said, like, it's mostly the writers that kind of go into a room and, like, lock the door, and they go in there and have fist fights and hash stuff out about the stories. And
I thought it was going to be an orgy.
Not quite. It doesn't really work out that way.
Yeah.
But but the writers kind of plan everything, and the writers from each of the titles, and the instructions kind of come down the line to the artist. It's like, okay, this is the plan. This is what we're gonna do. And it was funny because he said back then it was before email really became prevalent, so they had to have the current way the character was being drawn for whoever they were drawing.
Yeah.
So he said they would fax over a picture of, like, the last artist that drew that character, whatever they're doing right now. They would fax it over to him, and so they would kind of have an idea of what to do. And he would do the same thing. Brandon Peterson would draw a guy. He said it would literally be like a simple, like, 2-dimensional drawing of, like, the front of a guy and a back of a guy to fax to someone so that they knew how to draw a character, like what updated costume for them to use and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
It's much easier now with the email and everything.
They use Morse code. It's like
there's 6 pouches on his belt.
Rob Liefeld, there's 150 patches. His Morse code.
Rob, I think we got an issue with your faxes. All their feet are cut off.
So yeah, that was really interesting, and he was talking about that. So but he said also, like, sometimes the writers get together and then they change something that's happening in a story, and then, like, the artists will have, like, a bunch of panels done and a bunch of pages, and they'll have to go back and redraw stuff because they're scrapping that idea and they're going to do something else. And also with, like, even with cons, like, somebody might let something slip that a certain character is in the story, by accident, or someone might ask a question and the artist or the writer kind of lets it slip or whatever. So then, if it's something they really wanted to keep secret, then they'll have to kind of like take that character out and put someone else in. So then they'll contact the artist that's doing it, another artist, and he'll have to like redraw a bunch of stuff. So he said sometimes crossover stories can be annoying like that, but he had mentioned that was some of his first actual series work that he did, and so it's some of his favorite stuff. So I was pretty happy that I picked some good stuff for him to sign.
Yeah, it's funny because that's the thing about like a lot of comic book artists and writers are very open with conversation. So kind of, especially when you get a good day where it's not too busy, you don't have a huge line, they'll be very open with conversation and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you also get to visit your idol Jim Starlin as well?
I did. I had trouble getting to see him the first day, but I was lucky enough to see him the second day. It's nice because his line moves quick. Like he just does signatures. He doesn't do really sketches or anything. So if you do get in his line, it moves really quickly. I was like 15 people back probably, and I was out of there in 10 minutes with my stuff. So I think I got my 2 Thanos Quest books signed by him. The Thanos individual series, at the #1 issue from that. And also have him sign the trade paperback of Batman Death in the Family.
Nice.
Because he wrote that story. And I got the chance, if you remember a few episodes back, I talked about the new original graphic novel that Jim Starlin had out, The Infinity Revelation. And I know I mentioned in that show how...
He's going to talk about it again, you guys.
Yeah, get ready. No.
It's been a while since we talked about Thanos. So
just a quick overview thing, like to clear some stuff up, because I did talk about...
Laundry's done.
I did talk about how that was confusing and it was kind of a disappointment and everything. I'm going to retract that statement a little bit.
Because Jim Starlin made him? He heard?
Yes, he listens to this podcast. He was very upset. No.
He's like, there's that motherfucker.
He's like, I recognize your voice. No.
I saw your face. That's the one that doesn't have facial hair. I know.
But I did get a chance to ask him about it very nicely, of course. But I just said I'd like to ask you about your latest story, Infinity Revelation. I said I know there was a lot of mystery in the story, and I was confused at parts. I said, are there other stories coming down the pipe that it's leading into, and that's going to clear some stuff up? And he said, absolutely. There's a book coming out next summer to look forward to, and there's, I believe, 2 stories that come after Infinity Revelation, and that's going to clear up a lot of stuff. So he said there are some hints in this first book as to where it's going, but you're probably not going to find it, and even if you do, it's still going to be kind of ambiguous. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better that even though the book was super confusing, it's leading into other stories and it's going to get cleared up eventually. So maybe, if you are a big Thanos fan or a cosmic Marvel fan, do go out and pick up Infinity Revelation, because things are going to get cleared up in the next year or 2 with the stories that come after it.
Hold on to faith, people.
And hopefully it just doesn't get more confusing by the end.
So I went straight to the source just for you guys. I asked the writer himself, Jim Starlin.
Hey, we had a press pass, so we're official. So there's the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool. I didn't go into. I did, like I mentioned, I did talk to Corey Pham and a few others, but I went to some smaller locations, and I actually met with some of the more, like, I guess, indie people that were there. Sounds weird, but there was a few people there that were made games based upon Kickstarter, and actually have them here in front of me. And the first one I went to is this was based upon a Kickstarter campaign, and the game, it comes from Brain Games, and they created it called Alien Entity. It's this card-based game. I haven't had the chance to play it, but I was talking to the people who made it. They are based out of Lancaster, I believe, and they came up with that idea, sold it on Kickstarter, they raised the funds, and they were selling it. I picked it up. What's really cool is that it comes in this pouch that looks very much like the pouch you get with, like, freeze-dried ice cream for astronauts, which is kind of cool. So that's a lot of fun. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to play with it, but there's an idea where you're trying to build something and with someone within the game, is an alien, and you don't know who's trying to sabotage everything. So it's like a 2 to 4 player game. It looks a lot of fun. 3 to 5 players game. Had you get a chance to play it? Hopefully down the line I can talk about it more. Also met with this group that has this card game called Cockfight, which
what's that about, Dan?
From Charm City Gamers, who are located in Baltimore. I had a great conversation with them. Really nice guys. They also have a game coming up too that's going to be more of a Viking role-playing game type of situation that they had some art for, which is pretty cool. But
Adrian Peterson?
Yes, it's an Adrian Peterson game.
Yes.
It's called Fantasy Football. They're going to make trillions of dollars. No. Like I said, it's from CharmCityGames.com is their website. So I'll put some links on our episode post this time to check out their stuff, because I think they're selling it online. Them too did a Kickstarter campaign. And again, I haven't had a chance to play the game. Looked through some of the cards. It's a lot of good humor, a lot of dirty jokes. So, right up our alley. So
especially mine.
Especially Greg. So maybe one day we'll get to play it a little bit. Maybe even do a podcast episode or something like that. But they were cool. Nice to talk to them. Hopefully maybe even have them on the podcast sometime to talk about their new game that's coming out. And also I talked to some people from Boom Studios. Not Studios. Oh yeah, it is Boom Studios.
Big bada boom.
But for those who don't know, it's kind of, I guess technically independent if you say DC and Marvel are the big guys, but they do Mark Waid's in their Irredeemable line. They do a lot actually, and I'm a big fan of a lot of their books. I'm becoming a big fan, and I talked to the writer of the series called Hit, Bryce Carlson. Very nice guy. For those that don't know, the series Hit, it's a noir-based, like 1920s, I believe, series that he told me a lot about. It seems very interesting. Hadn't had the opportunity to read it yet. Like I said, we're just doing this as we go. But he explained it to. I ended up talking to him a lot about Baltimore, and because he's a baseball fan, and he mentioned that he went to Camden Yards, which is one of the best ballparks I think out there, and based upon like the 3 I went to. But but it's a gorgeous ballpark, and we were mentioning that too. And he was mentioning he was going to get food, and where the convention center is located, it's very much a tourist area. So I'm like, don't get food here. Don't get food around here. Go to Little Italy.
Even though we did.
Yeah, go to Five Guys. It's this little indie brand. No, I told him to go to Little Italy because it was down the street, but actually that's where he was going. So, which is kind of weird though, because I realized like telling them like, oh, we're gonna go for food could be also really creepy, because there'd be probably guys who would be like wanting to like, talk to them and like go to where they're eating dinner and stuff like that. So I was hoping like, am I not being too weird? But then I ended up going again to their Boom Studios today for a second time, because I'm weird. No, because I wanted to pick up some more stuff from them because I like what they do. And then talk to the writer of Hacktivist, which is out in graphic novel form. And he had a really interesting story too. And those who don't know, Hacktivist started from a really odd place. The comic came from the mind of Alyssa Milano. Yes, the star, one of the stars of Who's the Boss, but she does a lot. He was mentioning she has her hands in a lot of different things. Yes, Greg, do it. I was waiting for it, but she came up with this idea, and she came up with the premise, and then she wanted to have it done, but not through TV or not through a movie. She felt it wouldn't work because hacking and base like stories within that just becomes hackers. So they wanted to do it something else. So these guys who were screenwriters actually ended up taking the book and going with it. And it's a really interesting idea where it's like, what if the people who made Twitter were anonymous people and they use that information to do different things like startup revolts and whatnot. And then they end up getting kind of found out by the U.S. government, and the U.S. government ends up trying to use them for their own good and different things. So
I'm assuming it's the NSA.
Of course, when he was talking about it, there was an NSA joke. He's like, it's kind of like if Facebook sold all your stuff to NSA. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Makes sense. But yeah, he was a very nice guy too. So I have not started that book yet, but I've gone through a lot of Boom stuff. Like I love Irredeemable, and I actually tweeted this out, but I feel like Boom Studios, they're like, they take the polish of like something like DC and Marvel, but put like an indie spin on it, because there's a lot of really interesting ideas that they're coming with. So I've been trying to get into books outside of the norm of the comic book realm. I still love, the superhero realm. I still love superheroes, but I wanted to try to get into new stuff, and I'm a huge fan of noir, so really looking forward to Hit. And it's already signed though, so I'm like, should I read it because it's signed? I don't want to ruin it, but
Be gentle, Dan. Be gentle.
I will use a gentle touch. So.
Caress its spine.
But yeah. Overall, I would say, I guess there is one big thing we should talk about before we go. We all bought a lot of comics. We all got a lot of trades. But I got some games. I got some cool art. But Greg, I think, if anything, if someone's going to put their dick, not that I see, I was going to try.
Where's this going?
If someone was going to put their comic book cred on the table, and I was going to try to avoid that word, and then I went right to it. It's been a long freaking day. Like I said, we're old and achy. But if someone's going to put their comic book cred on the table, you just, I think, upped it a great deal with what you purchased today. And I don't know if you want to talk about it, because it's pretty impressive, but...
I don't think it was as much as putting a comic book, quote-unquote, dick on the table as much as it is putting a lot of money on the table.
Well, depending on it, it could lead to that, I guess.
Yeah, all the ladies gathered around when I was throwing wads of cash at this guy.
Greg made it rain.
That's right. No women were involved. Well, Jean Grey was with the rain of money. But I was walking around and getting quotes for this one certain comic book, and I finally found one that was kind of in my price range. It was a big kind of splurge for me. I wasn't expecting to buy this weekend, but I guess I just kind of manned up and was like, you know what? YOLO, you only live once, to be really terrible and use that term, that should really die. But I picked up X-Men #1. It's not the greatest copy in the world. It's only a 2.5.
And for people, that's not like X-Men #1, like the 90s X-Men #1, or like a recent Marvel X-Men #1. No, it's the original...
1962
Stan Lee,
not
#1, not a reprint, #1. You ran the gauntlet, and I think you won, sir.
I now have 1, 2, and 3. So now I have to work on 4, and maybe through the years, maybe I could work my way up to a better quality one, since it's only at 2.5. But we'll see what goes on with my collection, where it takes me.
Yeah, I think your collection's a lot better than mine, and Chuck's as well.
Ouch, Chuck. Just dissed you right there.
No, I mean, like, Chuck's and yours are both better than my collection.
Oh.
Sorry. But yeah, that's pretty intense. X-Men 1, 2, and 3. So Greg's an X-Men fan.
That's a hard hand to beat.
Yeah. That's like a royal flush, but yeah, it's very cool. Anything else you guys want to talk about Comic-Con?
I'm not sure if you guys are going to want to talk about this, but
La 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 la.
There was a cosplay that really freaked me out. And I'm wondering if any of the listeners know this person. Maybe they can help us out with this.
I hope not, for their sake.
Or I hope this person's not listening.
There was a cosplayer at the con, and they had me really confused, guys. He, she, whatever.
Oh, this is a different direction than I expected. But all right.
I was thinking of a different one.
Okay. There was this person, we'll say then, dressed up in a S.H.I.E.L.D. uniform, very slight in frame, had a purse. But then they had, their hair was short and kind of slicked back, I believe. But then they had a painted goatee on. But then today, they showed up in an Alice in Wonderland, but they still had that black goatee paint on.
Maybe they were cosplaying as Johnny Depp as Alice in Wonderland.
That could be the only explanation, but I was just wondering if maybe somebody knew this person, or maybe somebody that listens to this is into cosplay and is in the community, and this person is also in the community. Because I would feel really rude going up to this person and going, "What's your deal?" Like,
what's the deal with your cosplay?
What's the deal with airline food?
That's Adam Sandler doing Jerry Seinfeld.
But that was just interesting. And also, other than that, I went to the Frank Cho. I think I was the only one to really go to a panel. I think you tried to go to one.
Yeah, I tried to go to the DC comic panel, but like the acoustics were so bad, I couldn't understand a word that was being said. Because it's the first time they did panels, so if I always say one bad thing about Baltimore Comic Con is that it needs to, at least in the main ballroom, like work on its panels, because the acoustics and sound were really off, so you couldn't really understand any words that were being said. So I ended up leaving after like 20 minutes because it was just pointless sitting there.
They did have free water there, though.
I didn't even know that.
It was over on the side. It was just a water cooler. And
was it ice cold, though?
No, I don't think it was ice cold.
See, that wasn't as good then.
But I went to the Frank Cho panel, and that was really good. I ended up with this lady behind me. I don't understand why she went to this panel, because Frank Cho is very he's like me, over the top with pervy kind of stuff. He draws a lot of beautiful women with clothes not really existing. And
see why you went to the panel.
Well, I also had when I went through his line, I got a couple tickets because he was going to raffle the piece off, and tickets were like $5 a piece. I didn't end up winning. I figured since
it's that same guy that bought the
no,
yeah.
the dude, one dude in front of me was Asian, the other dude was white. That was him and Han. The third guy that won this piece was a black dude. But he drew a wonderful piece of Savage Land Rogue washing a Triceratops.
Nice,
which was pretty freaking hilarious. But as comments were being thrown out, because he was getting suggestions from the audience, and it's Frank Cho, so of course we're throwing out ladies, because he draws some of the best looking ladies that you can get in comics. And of course, being Frank Cho, he's going to get perverted comments, because on his Apes and Babes website, he was writing, I'm going to do this live panel. You could suggest anything, like She-Hulk and Wonder Woman fighting with baby oil, which frankly I thought was a great idea, and I would have loved to seen that one.
That's where you got the idea for the Battle Royale thing a couple episodes ago, right?
No, actually not. But this lady behind me was just gone, oh, no, why is everybody suggesting that? Don't do that one. And she's not like screaming out loud. We're like a couple rows back from Frank Cho, but she is like talking out loud, like he is right there in front of her. And I just wanted to say, lady, do you know where you are? Shut up. Like, yes. And she's like, oh, there's little kids in here. They had a whole preface of this is going to be a little bit more racy, that is, if you want to get your kids out, get them out now. And there was also a guy next to me that was like, oh, don't draw that. I'm like, you're a dude. What the hell is wrong with you? Why do you give a shit?
Interesting. Yeah. So, I don't know what to say. Yeah. I honestly didn't know he was known for that. That's how out of it. I know he's known for Spider-Woman. He draws a pretty good Spider-Woman. But
yeah, he's mostly known for his lady work.
It just sounds funny.
But he had had a Kickstarter out not that long ago, and it was Beautiful Women. I think it's coming out soon.
He knows a lot about lady parts.
Only we are going to find that funny. But I love it.
Yeah, that's very cool. There, to go back on one of your own point regarding cosplay, there were a lot of interesting cosplays, which is a common one. One of the funniest ones, which was really nice cosplay though, was like a guy dressed up as Mechagodzilla, but he also had like a Mothra like statue he was going with. But the funny thing is, he had to like push it himself, and his Mechagodzilla like outfit. So it was just this sad-looking thing of Mechagodzilla slowly pushing Mothra down the aisle. It's just like, oh, I feel so bad for him.
That one was a pain in the ass, though, because it was so hard to get around them.
Oh, yeah. The thing was huge. Like, the Mothra is gigantic.
I wish they would have an area for cosplay that's a little bit more out of the way and open so people can take pictures, but then so other people like us can go, because I don't really care about the cosplayers too much. Other than maybe one really cute one will walk by with very little clothing on. I try not to stare, I swear to God. But it just happens. And but I wish they would have some place out of the way, because it gets a little ridiculous with people clogging up the aisles, taking photos, because you can't really go in front of the people. That would be rude. You get in their picture, and then it would still take longer. And
it does get kind of, especially on a day like Saturday where we're super busy, where it's like, I want to walk by, but 8 people are taking photos. So eventually, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to be in this photo. I don't really care. I'm like, it's just like...
Everybody look out for Dan photobombing.
There'd be like 5 pictures on the Comic-Con website.
Who the fuck is this guy?
He keeps appearing.
Like, I give him time, but if you're taking like multiple ones, I'm going to walk. I'll give you like 1 or 2, but once you're doing different poses, I'm like, dude, like, I'm walking by you, so I don't really care.
You should hold up the new business cards as you walk by so they get in the picture.
Talking in circles. Like a huge sign. Yeah, I should have done that. I did not, though. But when Greg started talking about a weird-looking cosplay, well, a return happened. Way back when we talked about Baltimore Comic Con, and sometimes don't. And by that I mean a guy dressed up as Tarzan. And he's not like a bad-looking dude, but it's just like, it was just one of those costumes that everyone ended up talking about, because literally he has a loincloth on.
Such a small loincloth.
It leaves nothing to the imagination.
He couldn't afford the extra inch.
And it's a little bit much.
Let's just say, if he had used the bathroom, all he would have to do is sit on the toilet.
Yeah, kinda.
Really small loincloth.
He was I mean, if there was a breeze, you were seeing nut. I mean, it's no ways around it. It was
very in competition with Rogue's loincloth that Frank Cho did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
Top that, Frank Cho.
And it's funny because I heard a lot of people talking about the guy. Like, a lot of ones that people were like, you see that naked dude? It's like, he's cosplaying as the fat, ugly naked guy from Friends.
He was proud as a peacock, though, walking around.
Oh, yeah.
He did not care at all.
I mean, he wasn't super fat or anything like that, but it was just like, even if you were like a fit dude, like, or even a lady, I'm like, there's a point where that's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, there was one girl, too, who had like seashells on. Like, that's all she was like wearing as a top. I'm like, dude, calm down. I'm just like, stop it.
The best I saw with the ladies was a Silk Spectre that I wanted to follow around from Watchmen, I believe. I think the name is Silk Spectre. But the yellow and black, the one that the daughter was wearing in the movie, she was very nicely done. Very, very. I applaud you, young lady.
There were a lot of costumes. I think we saw a Sentinel which was awesome.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. The guy made his own Sentinel costume with like glowing eyes and everything. That was freaking awesome.
That was. I mean, I would never cosplay. I would never spend that much amount of time on anything. But some of the people it's pretty badass what they can do. I do think some people take a little bit too far, but
yeah. My other favorite one that I saw was a really good Storm, and the girl even had like the contact lenses for like the white eyes. It was like perfect.
Apparently, you can't see shit with those white lenses on.
Probably not.
I could, yeah.
She's probably like, "Who are these creepy people taking pictures of me? I can't see you."
Just walking into everything.
I keep seeing flashes of light.
It's just lightning.
But yeah, so yeah, again, we have one more day for Baltimore Comic Con, but a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. Hopefully, I'll be talking about it in the future because we'll be talking about all the cool stuff we actually bought, and hopefully we'll read, because I still have like a good 20 comic novels that I got last year that I still haven't read yet. So,
and a piece of personal advice: if you buy an omnibus that's over 2.5 inches thick, get it at the end of the day so you don't have to carry it around all day with you, because it's heavy as shit.
Yeah, especially if you buy 2 of them. So
yeah, But I did wait to the end of the day, so that was... I gambled that they would still be at the place that they were, so thankfully.
Those are weapons. Those are like...
Yeah, they're really heavy.
Which is funny because you can buy weapons there, so...
That was the scariest freaking stand.
Oh, man, there's like all
Watching geeks handle really sharp swords and not have a clue how to handle them, it's kind of scary.
And that creepy 18 and older ID required sign on a piece of cardboard.
That's wrong.
And those swords were just thrown on the table.
Yeah, that's crazy. They didn't do a bag check, but it'd be kind of funny if they did, and you're like, you're doing a bag check and you got swords all over the place. So, but yeah. Anyways, thumbs up again to Baltimore Comic Con. Looking forward to, hopefully we'll get to talk about some of the people we interview and talk with some of the people we met at the Comic Con in upcoming weeks and months. But we're going to get into our next episode of Unknown. We've took a little bit of a break. We're bringing it back. And we're already up to episode 8, which is kind of crazy. So as this saga keeps continuing, so we're going to get into episode 8 of Unknown, Fact, Fiction, or Father.
My father. Is this another one of your jokes, Don?
I'm being completely serious. This is your father.
I thought you said you knew nothing about me.
I lied. Get over it.
Well, now you're going to tell me the whole truth. Right now.
Unfortunately, we don't have time for that. Or at least I don't. Please, give me the sword, son.
I looked deep into the old man's eyes. They look like they belong to a man in pain, scared, and a tear looks to be forming in one. I'm not sure if he's actually my father or not, but I feel safe enough to relent my sword.
Thank you.
As soon as the old man touches the sword handle, he gasps sharply, like he went unexpectedly ice cold. A soft gold light grew bright, barely enough so those at our table could see. Then the wrinkles that etched his face seemed to smooth out and disappear. He was getting younger by the second until everything settled, and Artie slumped onto the table, sword in hand. What just happened?
This used to be a sword. It has great powers. Many mysterious powers. Once it is taken from a stone, it has the ability to heal its master. At the same time, it heals itself. Look.
I look at what I thought was my sword. All the damage that I administered getting it loose from Garrett Wright was gone, like it was brand new. It even looked as if it had a glint to it, as if it was polished. How is this possible?
How am I possible? Who the hell knows? It's just one of those things in life that you just need to accept.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Call it what you like.
Well, why did you lie to me? Why not bring me to my father straight off?
Because doing so would have killed your father. Without the sword being pulled from the stone, it would have done him no good. He would have died from the immense pain caused by the curse Artie's master has placed on his frail body.
What curse?
A curse so your father couldn't betray his master.
Seeing me was a betrayal?
Yes. The two of you together pose a threat to the master.
And how do we pose a threat?
That is something only the master knows.
You're not being a lot of help, you know.
I'm telling you all that I know.
Well, what about me? Who am I?
You? You are the Unknown Knight.
That's just a nickname. What is my real name? What did this man name me?
He didn't. No one did. It was for your own protection against the master.
Well, what was his name? What is my father's last name? You gotta give me that at least.
His name is Pendragon. Arthur Pendragon.
Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 8 of Unknown, Fact, Fiction, or Father. But that's going to bring it to the end of this week's episode, live and in-person episode. Hope you all enjoyed it. We know we enjoyed being part of it as well. But we'll be back next week. Anything else before we bring this episode to its conclusion?
Dun, dun, dun.
That works. What does that mean? We don't know. Only time will tell. But anyways, so if you want to get in communication with us, there's tons of different ways. You can send us an email at feedback@geekcastradio.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Talking in Circles GCRN. Also, I'm on Twitter at MovieRevolt, and Greg is still on Twitter.
Still on Twitter, guys. Jason Mantzoukas here, still on Twitter.
At The Great Forge. Also, you can go to our episode post and comment there at geekcastradio.com, nerdly.co.uk. And I should also mention, we will soon be streaming on Geek Life Radio. They'll be broadcasting our episodes on Thursday mornings. Don't have the exact time yet. Still in the early stages, but happy to be part of Geek Life Radio. Looking to get more years. And if this is the first episode that you've listened to us from Geek Life Radio, well, hope you enjoyed it. There's tons of other stuff in our old catalog, and hopefully just as good as this, of course.
Dan, are they also British there, like Nerdly UK are? Because we haven't offended the British.
No, I don't think they're British. I think they're American. So we need to maybe...
I'm trying to do my crappy British accent.
No. So can't try to get in with... what's her name from
Amelia Clark?
Amelia Clark or Hermione from
Emma Watson.
So, but like I said, that'll bring the episode to the end for this week. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel, same podcast feed. But for now,
this has been Chuck.
This has been Greg, or Arthur Pendragon,
and this has been Dan, and we've been Talking in Circles. We will see you next week. Pendragon's a pretty kick-ass last name.
I thought so.
Does that mean he draws dragons?
Yes.
He pens them?
Yeah, he can't do it with a crayon or a pencil. He has to do it with pen. It's the only way that works.
It's trickier that way, with the shading and everything.
A little bit, but he got lessons from Frank Cho.
Yes.
He also drew Rogue. Washing Pendragon.
Yeah. She likes to play with Pendragons, I heard.
That would be pretty sweet if she was actually real.
So why would a Triceratops need to be washed?
You get dirty.
No idea. I was expecting something to do with the horns kind of naughty, but that didn't actually come through. She only had a brush that was soapy.
I'm guessing Gambit got a little bit jealous.
I was jealous of that Triceratops. Rogue had a nice ass in the photo. Nice ass.
And great personality.
Life don't get much better than this.